in? We ready?
No.
Okay. I'm going to go anyway. Okay. Okay, so my 6y. If you were gone yesterday, this is your chance to get caught up. Okay, your 6y is going to move up next to the dy. Your dx is going to move up next to the sine 2x. Then you're going to do an integral on both sides. Okay, it's all good. Okay. Why? Why does it matter? Is this what this works? Oh, here, that one works. Okay, what's the integral of 6y?
Y squared.
Okay, then on this side, you're going to need u sub. Because you're not just integrating sine x, you're integrating sine 2x. So your u is going to be a 2x. Your du is going to be a 2dx, which means your dx is a du over 2. Okay, obviously I picked an easy one for us to warm up with. They'll get a little bit harder, not too bad. Okay, then from here, my integral of sine u is going to have a du over 2, which is then going to move to the front. Now, when I wrote this step, I forgot to write the dx. So if you want to just sneak it in there, it should be there. Doesn't really change anything, but it should. Okay? From there, what is the integral of 1/2 sine u? What's the integral of sine u? Okay, negative 1/2 cosine u plus c. But then I don't want to leave it as a u. I want to change it back to a 2x. So it's going to be negative 1/2.
Did we just drop the 3y thing?
No, I'm going to bring it back right here. Okay? So it's a 3y squared. Then for my next step, how do I cross out the 3? I'm going to divide or put a 1/3. Okay? And then from there, the 3rd and the 3 cross out with each other. You have y squared equals, this is negative what, a 5th? 6th, you're multiplying, not adding. Negative a 6th cosine 2x plus c. And then for your last step, if that's y squared, you'll square root. Bless you. Okay, so then from there, your solution would be y equals, hopefully you wrote smaller than me, plus or minus negative a 6th cosine 2x plus c. Okay? Now, remember that for general solutions, it's okay for you to have a plus and a minus, but if it was a particular, you would have had to choose. Okay? So we are going to jump straight into the chain rule examples. Then we'll kind of go backwards a little bit and review some of the stuff we reviewed yesterday. So I want you to start for me, please, with number 9. In the notes, yes, ma'am. Okay? Number 9. Oh.
Is this Friday?
Your homework? Okay, we're in the notes. You're looking at question 9. Okay, go ahead and separate. It is not already. It's the notes I did. Did I hand them to you or not? It was like an ugly, crinkly packet. It was actually Ebenezer. He left it in here.
I love it.
Since you were gone, I figured you didn't care since you left it on the floor. And it was already blank.
You pissed me off yesterday.
Okay.
So mad. Dude,
I don't even know why
you like that in my life. So weird. Really? Yes. You know what? I walked out. I was walking like, I was waiting. Hey, shut up.
Okay. Okay. Nothing. We can't talk about it right now. I told Ebenezer he had a long neck. And it hurt his feelings. That wasn't what made you mad? Oh. Well, then I don't know. I thought it was because I told you I didn't know how you held your phone because your neck was so long. Yeah. That's what I thought you were mad about.
Okay, there are not stable. Like those lines. I don't like reading. Like we both and then there's a stable.
This part of this. No, not this.
Okay. Okay, focus. Okay, so number 9, how do I separate? What do I do first?
You move the line.
Okay, if y starts on the bottom, yes. Okay, y starts on the bottom, dy. And then my dt that started on the bottom is going to move over here to my t side. So notice the only thing really that's changed at this point is we went from an x to a t. Okay? But remember, it's the same thing. And we're going to do u sub. Now, remember, I could have to do u sub on both sides, but I won't. What's the integral of y going to be? Okay, 1/2 y squared. So this side is going to be nice and easy. Okay, it'll be a 1/2 y squared. But then on this side is where we're going to need u substitution. So my u is going to be a 2t. What does that make my du? 2dt, which means that my dt is going to be a du over 2. Okay, then I'm going to take those pieces, I'll come over to my integral, I'll switch it to be in terms of u. So it'll be the integral of 4 secant squared u, and then du over 2. Okay, all of that should at least sort of look familiar. Then you're going to take the 2 and the 4 to the front. What is 4 if I cut it in half? Okay, so I have 1/2 y squared, 2 integral secant squared u du. What's the integral of secant squared? Do you remember it? Tan. Okay, so it's 2 tan u plus c. Okay, and then I told you yesterday I would tell you how you know if you have to solve. This is how you know right here. Do you see where it says, find the particular solution, y equals? That means you have to put it in y equals form. Okay, so if it does not say that, then you don't have to do it. What did you say? You have it. It's the packet. Did you give him, Nikki, the packet back? Yeah, it's number 9. No, it's just kind of like bent. You see it? The 9?
Why would it be number 3 and then
Okay, so 1/2 y squared, 2 tan 2t plus c. Okay, what's my next step to solve for y since I have to? Okay, multiply by 2. 2 times 2 in the front there is now a 4 tan 2t. And then I have a y squared. My last step will be to take the... Okay, focus. You see it? How you do it?
Yep.
Okay, so you're doing u sub just on the one side. Eventually we'll get to problems where you're doing u sub on both sides, but for now, just one side. Okay, now from there I can still find my particular solution. I'm going to use the ordered pair that they gave me up here. Okay, when I plug in a pi-8 for my x, then 3 should be the answer. So 3 is the answer when I have plus or minus the square root of 4 tan 2 times my t, which is a pi-8 plus c. Okay, then what is 2 pi-8? Okay, so really that's going to be the tan of pi-4. And pi-4 I would do sine divided by cosine, but pi-4 is your middle finger, so if sine and cosine are both root 2 over 2, what do they divide to? 1. So this is really just a 1. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 plus c is what's under the square root. Now, on the other side, I just have a 3. I need to choose the plus or the minus before I square both sides, but you have to match the y value they gave you. So if this is a 3, I need to match the sign of the 3. 3 is positive or negative. So if it's a positive over here, then I have to choose the positive here. Then when I square both sides, it's going to go away anyway. Okay, so if I square 3, what do I get? 9. When I square the square root, I just get the 4 plus c from the middle. Then minus the 4 across what's c? 5. Good job. So my final answer would be y equals the square root of 4 tan 2t plus 5. Okay, what's wrong with it? 5 is outside. That matters. That's a totally different equation if I put the plus 5 separate. Okay, then does it matter if I don't explicitly put a plus sign? No. If you put nothing, it counts as positive. If you want to put the plus, that's fine, but it is not necessary. Make sense? So your general has both. Your particular, we chose the plus. Your C was a 5. Okay, next one. Number 10. Okay, I have dy dt or dy dx equals y squared sine pi x. We're going to have to separate this. So dy dx is y squared sine pi x. What's going to move? Yeah, and if it's a y squared, what will it be when I divide it across to the other side? 1 over y squared, right? And then my dx will come up behind my sine. Good so far? Okay, now the right side is u sub. We just did it. Okay, so I'm going to give you like 30 seconds. Just do the right side. We'll do the left side in a second. Okay, but this side you should be able to do over here. So give it a shot. Pick your u. Take your derivative. Just do your u sub. Only this side, though, down here. Okay, leave this side alone.
So this is 11 and 12. My back page is 9, so I just flipped automatically to use 9.
Oh, yes.
Why did the y change to 2?
Because how do I get rid of a multiply by y squared? I would have to divide by y squared. Does that make sense? So remember, you can only integrate once you have your y's all on the left and your x's all on the right. Okay? All right, let's see how your u sub went. So your u should have been pi x, which means your du should have been pi dx, which means that dx should have been du over pi. Okay, then your integral is going to be sine u du over pi, and then I can pull the pi to the front and just integrate sine u du. Right or wrong so far? One thing wrong, what is it? The 1. Okay, it should be a 1 over pi. If pi was on the bottom, when you move it out, make sure you keep it on the bottom. Then what's the integral of sine? So negative 1 over pi cosine u plus c, which is then going to turn to negative 1 over pi cosine pi x plus c. Okay, any questions on that side? Okay, on the left side, how will I integrate 1 over y squared? A rewrite. Not a 1/2, what would I use? A minus 2. Because I'm bringing a squared up. Now, what if it was 1 over y? ln. But if it's 1 over y squared, you're going to have to do a rewrite. So I'm going to RW here, rewrite. I'll do the integral of y to the negative 2 dy. And then I'll do a power rule on that. But if y is on the bottom with a power, you have to rewrite. Okay? So add 1 to negative 2. What do you get? Negative 1. Then divide by negative 1. It's just a negative in the front. And then my next step is, I don't like the way that looks, so I'm going to just bring the y down to be a negative 1 over y. So far, so good? Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is if I have a negative on both sides, I'm going to multiply by negative 1, and I'm going to cancel it out. So now I'm going to have 1 over y equals positive 1 over pi. Now question, when I multiply by negative 1, technically, am I still multiplying c by -1? Yes. But I didn't know what c was. I still don't know what c is. So I'm not going to change it to a minus c. Just ignore it. We don't know what it is anyway. So if we times it, we still don't know what it is. Just keep it a plus c. It will make it easier later. Okay? Now, look at the question. Are they telling me that I have to put it in y equals form? Yes or no? Okay, right here, that means yes. You have to solve it for y. So, how would I solve this for y? Okay, here's how I would do it. This is the way that I think is easiest. If it's just a 1 over y, really, I just need to flip this side, yeah? So what I'm going to do is make this a big fraction over 1 and then just flip them both. Okay, to me, I think that's the easiest. There are other ways to do it. You could think about cross multiplying. Okay, but the easiest way is make them both fractions and then flip both sides. So my general solution is y equals 1 over pi cosine pi x plus c. Okay, there are other ways to do it. There's a way that you could leave the pi on the top, but I'm not going to do it that way, but you could. Your c will come out different though. Okay, so this is my general solution. Then I need to find my plus c. How will I do that? Plug in the point. Now, keep in mind that on AP, they're not trying to give you like the hardest questions ever. So when I plug this in here, let's just see what happens. Pi fourths is the y value. When I plug in what for my x? 1/2. Okay, but notice that this is about to be a lot more simple because they chose x to be a half. What is a half of pi? Pi halves, pi over 2. And what is cosine of pi over 2? 0. So this entire term right here becomes a 0 because it's the cosine of pi halves. And so now I just have pi fourths equals 1 over c. Now I just have pi fourths equals 1 over c because my cosine ended up crossing out. And then from there, I'm just going to unflip both sides. So if I flip the 1 over c side, that's a regular c.
Wait, shouldn't that be a negative c?
No, we did this yesterday while you were gone. But whatever c is, just call it plus c.
Okay.
And then if I flip this, I'll get 4 over pi. And then I can come back up here to my c, plug that number in, then you're done. Well, so your full answer would be this. Y equals 1 over pi cosine pi x plus 4 over pi. Does that make sense? Okay, good. All right. Turn the page to the back side of this page. Should be number 11. That's the last one that we're going to do off of your notes, and then hopefully we'll have time to hit a little bit of homework. Okay. Can I pull this? We good? Okay. Next one that we're going to do is number 11. Okay, give it a shot. What would I start with here? What has to move? Okay, now, and we haven't actually done this yet, but think about, can I rewrite this equation like this? dw, this is only to make it easier for you. Could I rewrite the equation like this? Is that the same? Yeah. Now, why would I want to do that? Here's why. If I move the whole 6w, then I'm going to have 1 over 6w. And then I'm going to end up with a weird extra fraction. But if I only move the w to the bottom, then I can just leave the 6 cosine 2t where it's at. Okay? Now, I want you to think about for a second. If you did move the 6, you'd have a 6th over here. And then at the end, how would you get rid of the 6 when you're solving? Times the 6 back across. So it's easier, just don't move the 6. Just leave it. Only move the W. Okay? So my W moves to the bottom on the other side. What is the integral of 1 over W? ln absolute value W. And then on the other side, what will I choose as my U?
2t.
U is 2t. Then du is 2 dt. Then dt is du over 2. And then I'm going to take my du over 2 and my u. I'm going to plug them in and do u substitution. So it's going to be 6 cosine u du over 2. What's my constant in the front going to be? 3 integral cosine u du. What's the integral of cosine? Sine u plus c. And then in my next step, sine u is going to turn back into a 3 sine 2t. Okay? Now, notice that I don't want to have to write ln w over and over again. That side, the integral was really quick. So I'm just going to put an arrow and then put the ln w back here. Now, from here, if I want to get w by itself, what would my next step be to remove the ln? E both sides. So I'm going to e it here and here. E and ln cross out. So now what I have is the absolute value of w equals e to the 3 sine 2t plus c. Okay, now, real quick. How would you solve? Don't write this down, just look. Pretend you're in Algebra 2. Absolute value of x equals 6. What would your two answers be? Plus or minus 6. So when I drop these bars, I need to apply a plus minus to the other side. Okay? So if I want to drop the bars here, I'm going to just put a plus or minus in front of my e. So my final answer here, just in case you didn't remember that, when you drop those bars, you're going to put a plus minus in front of your number in the front. Okay, so where are the two places I'll get a plus minus? With absolute value bars and also with square roots. Okay, those are the two places. Okay, so that's my general. What's the point I need to pass through? Okay, so negative 3 is going to be the y value, and then x is going to be 0. So negative 3 equals plus or minus e to the power of 3 sine 2 times 0 plus c. And then which sign will I pick in the front to match? This side is negative. I have to choose a negative as well. So I have negative 3 equals negative e. What is 2 times 0 in here?
0.
What is sine 0?
0.
So really that's just a c. Are we good with that?
Yeah.
Technically it's a 0 plus c. Well, then I'm going to multiply by negative 1 on both sides to cross those guys out. And if 3 equals e to the c, what's my last step to solve for c? Can't divide. ln. Because remember, ln and e eliminate each other. So then in that case, my c is just the ln of 3. So my final answer would be w equals e to the 3 sine 2t plus the ln of 3. Done?
Yeah.
One thing. Can't pick the plus and the minus. Which one did I pick? The minus. Make sense?
Little bit.
Little bit? I'll take it. Okay, so what time are we at? Oh, lots of time.
Devin's here now.
Hey, Devin. Okay, do you want to pick one off the homework to do? Yes, that's fine. Number 5? Sure. Is that what you just picked? 5? I mean, none of it's like super hard. Let's be real. Actually, why don't you do number 7? Number 7's very similar. Well, it's so too similar. Okay, let's do 5. Okay, number 5. Take a look at it. Okay, how are you going to separate number 5?
I don't know why I cracked myself up.
Number 7?
We're gonna do 5
Wait,
No,
talk
no,
about what?
straight.
Homework?
on the homework, yeah.
Oh, that's